My name is Technical Sergeant Maggie Verica from the 621st Contingency Response Support Squadron, and I will be your narrator for today's ceremony. Throughout today's ceremony, you will be given various cues to stand and be seated at the appropriate times. As a reminder, during the national anthem, military members must stand at the position of attention, and our civilian guests should place their right hand over their heart while facing our flag. Please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem by Senior Airman Jennifer Lopez and the Invocation by Chaplain Husfeld.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
What a blessing to follow that. Amen. I want to go just very quickly off script and say, as a chaplain for many years now, I've been blessed to try to be a part, to celebrate and honor great Americans all who serve their country faithfully during retirement ceremonies. Sometimes, as a chaplain, we're blessed to actually know the person we're praying for. And in this case, I am honored to, Brad, that you allowed me to have this honor. As neighbors and as colleagues, working closely together at times or informally in the neighborhood, I just want to tell you what probably, if you're here, you know this man as well. But kids, I think it's most important for you to hear. Colonel Hall, Brad Hall, is a great American patriot, husband and father. And I have had private conversations with him about all of those roles, in which his heart was just heavy with how do I make the right decision, how do I love people well, how do I honor my commitments. So Brad, for all those reasons, thank you, brother, for the opportunity to pray and be a part of this ceremony. And I guess you probably wouldn't ask me again if you knew I was going to do that. But let us pray. Gracious God of heaven and earth and giver of all that is good, thank you for this special ceremony as Colonel Brad Hall retires after over 24 years of distinguished service in the United States Air Force. We thank you for family, friends, and teachers from which he came to the Air Force. His parents, Randy and Judy, siblings, Jacob and Alicia, in-laws, Jim and Barbara, the many colleagues, superiors, subordinates, and commanders, and the many sacrifices they have made along the way, sacrifices which helped make this day possible. Especially for the support of the Colonel's bride, Melanie, and I can only assume she must have loved the uniform, and their children, Bailey, McKenna, Brooke, and Morgan, we give you thanks, O God. As the Halls transition to the next chapter of life's journey, continue to undergird Mr. Hall with the confidence and wisdom to meet the new challenges before him, while also committing to walk by faith and not by sight, and upholding the standards of your word to his bride, family, friends, and colleagues. As we reflect upon the Colonel and the family Hall's faithful and successful service, help the rest of us leave here all the more determined to serve faithfully from this moment on. Thank you for the service members, civilians, and their families from throughout Colonel Hall's service, especially his teammates from the 621st Contingency Response Wing. Help us all to trust you for your grace and mercy to abound as we continue to execute our nation's battles. To that end, O God, may you bless the United States of America. Grant our political and military leaders with wisdom from above, which is ever so needed today. Help us to act justly, to stand boldly for righteousness and freedom for all, and keep us determined to be beacons of hope for those seeking a better life. And finally, Lord, be with our colleagues serving around the globe. Grant them your hedge of protection. Heal our wounded, comfort those who mourn, and sustain their loved ones. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Senior Airman Lopez and Chaplain Husfeld. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, please join me in recognizing our honored guests. The presiding officer, Colonel Retired Chris Maddox, and his friend, Karen Wellington. Our honoree, the Vice Commander, 621st Contingency Response Wing, Colonel Brad Hall, his wife Melanie, their children Bailey, McKenna, Brooke, and Morgan. Additionally, a warm welcome to Colonel Hall's father and mother, Randy and Judy Hall, and Colonel Hall's mother-in-law, Barbara Cote. In addition, please welcome our distinguished visitors who have joined us here today. The Commander, United States Air Force Expeditionary Center, Major General John Gordy. The Command Chief, United States Air Force Expeditionary Center, Chief Master Sergeant Chris Berg and his wife Amy. The Commander, 621st Contingency Response Wing, Colonel Doug Jackson. The Command Chief, 621st Contingency Response Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Tony Jenkins. We would also like to extend a warm welcome to all other commanders, senior enlisted leaders, first sergeants, and all others who could not make it here today, and especially those watching on YouTube. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please direct your attention to the screen for a look back on Colonel Hall's time throughout the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to invite Colonel Jackson on stage for the presentation of the Legion of Merit Medal.
Publish the order.
If everyone would please stand for the publishing of the order. Attention to orders. Special Order EC 026. By direction of the President, Colonel James B. Hall is awarded the Legion of Merit for expeditionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States during the period 3 June 2018 to 30 September 2020. Colonel James B. Hall distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Vice Commander, 621st Contingency Response Wing, Joint Base, McGuire, Dix, Lakehurst, New Jersey, from 3 June 2018 to 30 September 2020. During this period, Colonel Hall displayed exceptional leadership in the advancement of Air Mobility Command's contingency response, Air Advisor, Air Mobility Liaison Officer, and Air Mobility Operations missions to advise, direct, and project air power, enabling more than 100 contingency response missions and 60 building partnership capacity engagements with 24 partner nations. Colonel Hall's leadership inspired 3 groups, 11 squadrons, and 1,500 airmen across 61 specialties and 22 global operating locations, delivering air power in support of the President, combatant commanders, and named operations to include Operations Inherent Resolve, Freedom Sentinel, and Spartan Shield. Colonel Hall's innovative drive ensured the 621st Contingency Response Wing met United States Transportation Command's #1 priority, warfighting readiness, by directing and implementing a process to establish and assess desired learning objectives for exercises. Additionally, during Exercise Jersey Devil 2019, he directed the first flyaway of an alert force and demonstrated a full transfer of authority from a contingency response group to an air expeditionary wing in the largest deployment exercise for Joint Base McGuire Dix Lakehurst. Furthermore, following Hurricane Michael, Colonel Hall's leadership ensured the deployment of 59 contingency response airmen to reopen Tyndall Air Force Base, provide aid to the devastated region, and begin rebuilding the installation. Finally, Colonel Hall's ability to establish lasting relationships at Joint Base McGuire Dix Lakehurst and Travis Air Force Base bolstered installation and community support, strengthening training, readiness, and professional development. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Hall culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Thank you, Colonel Jackson. It is now my pleasure to welcome our presiding officer for today's ceremony, Colonel Chris Maddox.
Well, thank you very much. It is an absolute privilege to be here today. Since Brad asked me to do this, I've been thrilled at the opportunity because I know there's a long line of people that would wish to be in this spot today to honor Brad Hall. Brad is more than a friend to me, he's family, and so he's worried about him crying. The problem's going to start now. So anyways, it will begin here quickly, but it is certainly an absolute honor to be here to recognize Brad's incredible career in the United States Air Force. I've been lucky enough to have a front row seat for a lot of it, so I'll share a little bit of that as we go along. But it is a true American legend stands up here with me, and seeing that is an incredible opportunity to be a part of it, especially being old and washed up as a retiree. You know, you know you're irrelevant, so at least this gives you a moment to feel like you're still relevant in a small way. So thank you for that opportunity, Brad. So first, thank you all for coming today. As we know, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, it's a challenging time, but the small crowd here is an honor to be here. Of course, most importantly is Brad's family. So thank you all for being here. For his parents coming up from Cleburne, Texas, I've known them for a long time, and Barb Cote coming in from Michigan, and then of course the 5 beautiful women here in the front row, which are incredible in each of their own right. And I'll talk about them each a little bit as we go along. But to, of course, our privileged guests and our honored guests here, General Gordy, we appreciate you being here, and Bernie, thanks for joining him as well, and the chief and his spouse Amy, thanks for coming, and of course Colonel Jackson. We go way back, okay, back to when my hair was less gray and he was less important, and so we spent time together. But and of course, to all the folks that did the ceremony, Airman Lopez, I want to give a special another round of applause for that incredible rendition of the national anthem. In my current role, sitting in my basement in Iowa, working for a bank, I don't get to hear the national anthem as much as I used to. So it is certainly an awesome experience when you can. But today, of course, is unique in that there are a lot of different challenges going on across our country, as we know, when we talk about that, when we think about the challenging times that we're in. And when I look back on our careers, because they were pretty much mirrored, 24 years and 4 years at the academy, it's 28 years of life starting back in the early 90s. And you think back to that time frame, how much has changed and what is different about not only the geopolitics of the world, but our country as a whole, and how much it continues to change and the pace of change. And seeing those, I know it makes a lot of us that have worn a uniform a long time, it's one thing to look externally for challenges, but when the challenges come home, that's a different kind of challenge. We all have sworn the oath against things foreign and domestic, and now as the domestic challenges get a little close to home, it creates a different level of challenge. And what I can say as a citizen now and as a civilian, knowing that leaders such as Brad Hall are on active duty to continue to deal with these challenging times is a great comfort to me. And I know many, many other leaders are still here, many are in this room, that are continuing to deal with these challenges on a day-to-day basis, and that is comforting. And I think I saw a meme somewhere that said, gosh, I've read about the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression, the previous pandemics, but I never wanted to experience them all at the same time. And then you throw some murder hornets on there at the same time, and it becomes like the world's going mad. But really it's not, because there's leaders out there, leaders like Brad and the leaders in this room, that are continuing to make sure that our nation stays on the right path. And that is a path that has a long history with ups and downs, and as we go through those times, as the young people in the audience can attest to, there will be more ups and downs. As we think about our career, what happened in the wake of Desert Storm, when Brad and I went to the Air Force Academy, that was a major event. And then September 11th happened. And we had 2 babies at home with my daughter Grace, my oldest daughter Grace, and Bailey were born. We lived around the corner. I'll get to that in a second. But the events that they've even seen in their life has transpired is a unique time. So we are here today, though, not to worry about those challenging times. We're here today to celebrate a wonderful human being, a wonderful American, and a wonderful officer in the Air Force. I feel very lucky now as a retiree that this is like my defensive shield, that my filters that I maybe had when I was on active duty are maybe not as stringent as they once were, so I can say whatever the hell I want. What are you going to do to me? You know, so I will try and keep this professional as I can throughout, but you never know what might slip out. But the joys of being a retiree, before I get into the meat of it, I'm telling you, Brad, you got a path of glory ahead of you, okay? So you can stand in any aisle you want at the commissary for as long as you want, selecting your beans or your cut of meat, and that's your right, okay? You can drive 47 miles to come to the gym. That is your right, okay? It is free, okay? So don't you forget that. You can stand in line as long as you want to get drugs at the pharmacy. That is your right. And don't let anyone tell you different. You can be as angry and as upset as you want, and it's perfectly fine. So that's the joys of being a retiree. So all of you that still aren't there yet, I encourage you to look forward to those moments of being a grumpy old man. I'm well on the way. I've still got some skills to develop, but I'm working on it. But anyway, so as we get into, as I thought about what to talk about here today for Brad, because that's the focus of today's activity. So Brad and I have known each other for almost 20 years. We didn't know each other at the academy, unfortunately. He was an athlete. So I was a nerd, computer science major, and you know, athletes and nerds not very often get together. But luckily we came across each other at McGuire, and so over time we've grown very close. And as you think about how do you recognize the accomplishments of someone like Brad Hall, and typically we might go through a list of his accomplishments. And I'm going to take a little different approach today, because really when I think about Brad, and this is where the emotions are going to start, it's not just that Brad is good at everything he does. We'll talk about that. It's that he makes you want to be better at what you do, at the things that are most important in your life. And so whenever, and this is, and I hate this about him because it's always like, darn it, Brad's doing the right thing, so now I have to do that too. And so now I can't do things because Brad's going to do it right and make me feel guilty. And so the word I think of when I think of Brad is the word better, because he has made me as a friend want to be better in every aspect of my life. And I feel blessed to have that person in my life to make you want to, because that's the people you want to surround yourself with. You don't want to be around people that make you feel bad or tear you down. And I think his airmen would attest to these characteristics as well. So I'm going to talk about some different ways that I feel like he makes us all better. But before I get into that, I want to start off with something. One of the ways he makes me feel better, I'll talk about this in a minute, is in my faith. Okay, so I'm going to start off with some scripture here today. So I tried to find a scripture that what I felt most reflected Brad, and I went to Philippians 2:3, which says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself." And so in humility, value others above yourself. And when you look at every decision, and you heard the chaplain talk about it up here, about Brad tortures himself when he has to make a choice where he might even feel like he's putting himself ahead of someone else, ahead of any of these 5 beautiful women down here. It tears him up inside. And so you have to say, well, you have to feed them too, and you have to, pay for gymnastics and lacrosse and cars and car insurance and moves and, shopping trips to Amazon. Those are important too. And so sometimes you have to make those choices because you're serving those that you're with. So as I think through the different categories where I feel like Brad has influenced me to be better, and I have a little list, so I don't do many lists, but I do one here. One is Brad made me want to be a better pilot. Okay, so our careers are very mirrored, and I was a FAPE. We all know FAPEs make the best instructors and the best pilots. I mean, that's well known. Can we get an amen? Everybody agrees with that? So we were both FAPEs at the same time, and then we went to the KC-10 and the C-17 together. And as you look back through Brad's records, of course, Brad has over 4,100 flight hours. 4,100 flight hours. Okay, I didn't quite get there. I wanted to be better. I only got to 39 something. So he's got more flight hours than me. But being an instructor in 3 different airplanes is an incredible feat. It really is. It's a lot of training. You look back through all the training records. They're all different. Your hands move to different places. It's a challenge, and Brad excelled at all. One of the things he did in his record, so he went from the T-37, which weighs about as much as these 2 TVs put together, okay? And then he moved to the KC-10, beautiful, big, sexy out here on the ramps, beautiful airplane, still is to this day. And he gets an exceptionally qualified on his initial qual check in KC-10. I don't even know how you do that. How do you get exceptionally qualified on your first check ride? I don't know. That is a testament to the skill of a pilot he is. And I know, later as things, as careers develop, you don't get to fly as much. And as I sit in my basement and look longingly out the window at the opportunity to go fly, you certainly miss it. But the skill and talent he brought into that area was exceptional. And being safe and flying all over the world in all kinds of ungodly conditions, who knows what he's been through in the cockpit of an airplane. You saw one of the pictures in there of a giant hole in the airplane. I assume that was an airplane you were in the T1 as a commander dealing with those types of challenges. But made me want to be a better pilot. I was lucky enough to be in his squadron 2 different times, here in the 2nd Air Refueling Squadron at McGuire, and then in the most elite squadron in the Air Force at the time. I think we would all agree to that, was the 10th Airlift Squadron at McCord Air Force Base at Washington. Brand new squadron, really went well off the bat. So that was fantastic. But Brad makes you want to be a better pilot. Another place he influenced, I think, many, is making you want to be a better warrior. And I think that video that Melanie put together, well done, Melanie. Okay, Elizabeth will be very proud of you. Okay, I'll give you an A+. But you see the pictures of the different warrior activities that Brad's been a part of in these years. Okay, so the being a part of flying the KC-10 and deploying and going into Afghanistan when there's no maps or rules, you just go out and getting the job done. Flying a C-17 into who knows where in Iraq or Afghanistan, under fire with all of the different NVGs and equipment that we wore to fly that, with crews that were, I think if you add everybody up, they're not even 100 years old probably on the crew. And those are warrior activities. And then beyond that, even beyond those flight-borne activities, was he deployed to Afghanistan for almost 9 months. okay, deployed to Afghanistan, sitting with very senior leaders, making strategy in the nation of Afghanistan. That conflict continues today, and there's a lot of a debate in our senior policy-making circles about what the future looks like there. But Brad was there, on the ground. You saw it. He has pictures to prove it. So it must be true. But being on the ground is a different experience for an airman, and those I have the absolute utmost respect. I never had the opportunity to serve on the ground over there. I flew many times and had many combat hours. But the warrior that Brad is shines through in those pictures and in those activities. And I think that warrior spirit also came out as we heard a mention of the deployment to Saudi Arabia when we went to Saudi Arabia just within a year. And an elderly gentleman such as Brad going over, I say that because I'm older than you, but only by a month, but still I'm older. But going over and being a part of that at this point in your career is a big deal. Living in austere conditions, where I heard one of the airmen here talking about how he was very upset that they stole his Diet Coke. You don't touch a man's Diet Coke, okay? I don't know. Maybe there's some moral discussions we need to have. But the other piece that Brad has been a great influence on me is being a hard worker. Coming from Texas, I don't know how you did it. I wish I could get my kids motivated the way Brad is, because you can't stop him from working, whether it be at work or at home. I don't know how many times I had conversations late at night where he's retiling a bathroom at 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, these are things that normal people don't do, okay? But it makes me feel like less of a worker because of Brad. And I remember he taught me a lot as he moved into his house in New Jersey around the corner from me, and that's when we first got to know each other. Our families met when our two lovely spouses met. They were both very pregnant with our oldest children, and they met in the OB office. And then it all came together that they had just moved in. We were in the same squadron, and they lived around the corner from us. And then the rest is written in infamy, I guess. So when we went over, I remember Brad moved in. He had a small project. Okay, we're young captains. We've got master's degrees. We fly KC-10s for a living. We can figure anything out. All right, we don't need to let this stuff get in our way. So we decided that we were capable of putting some, crown molding in a bathroom that was about 4 square feet, okay? So if there was any professional skills available, they could have had that done in probably 15 to 16 minutes, okay? For Brad and I think between the two of us, it was probably about 37 man hours to get this little bitty pieces of trim put in. And we ran out of molding several times. And we had the angles figured out. We were doing the math. I think we were doing calculus. We were doing derivatives. We were trying to figure out the angles of this molding to put in this little bathroom. And then it's like, where have we gotten ourselves? I don't know. The two of us, we couldn't figure it out. Finally, he cut me off his work crew, and then he was able to get it done. So maybe I think I know where the dead weight was, and it was in me. But working hard is in the man's DNA. And if you can find a harder working person, then I would like you to show them to me, because any hour of the night, any hour of the day, deployed, at home, wherever, the man's working. I mean, I think over the last week or so, he's in the process of retiring, graduating his oldest daughter, buying a house, buying a business, writing a speech, getting all this done all at the same time. And it just happens, and he does it well. And that's how he makes me better. Another way is being a friend, okay? And so we all go through difficult times, and I'm going to move this on beyond, as I said earlier. The Hall family, to me, is more than friends. They're family, okay? And the type of family that anytime when things are difficult, and I've had some difficult times, and I knew I would get to this point, so my apologies, but he's the type of friend that sends his wife to be at the bedside of another friend that's in her last moments of life. And so if that doesn't speak to the testament to this relationship of what it means, that meant as much to me as anything, having Melanie there as my dear late wife, my beloved wife Sherry, passed away a couple years ago. So anyways, excuse me, Brad, I told you I would go first. But that's the kind of friends. Overnight, anytime, Brad and I can't tell you how many times we prayed on the phone over whatever situation was going on, whether it was an assignment or a health challenge or any of those things. Brad was the first call, and a lot of late night discussions and prayer to comfort me and be there for me, and there was never a doubt. And that's the beauty of these military relationships. As I moved to Iowa, and there's not as many folks around there that have been in the military, you guys all know this. It doesn't matter you haven't seen each other in 5 years. That has no bearing on the friendship. Like that, the connection that's required to be in person, it's not there because there's a deeper connection. And that's the kind of stuff that I value and cherish to this day. But Brad, because of the great friend he is, makes you want to be a better friend. And you learn to be a better friend for everyone else. The other thing that is saddens me is to see he was a 2-sport Division I athlete. Who the hell does that? Excuse my French, ladies. I apologize. It's the retiree pen talking. Okay, who does that? A 2-sport Division I athlete? what the, I mean, so it makes you want to be a better athlete, honestly. Like, I don't know how you keep up with him, and he's got this frame. You know what he ran? I looked up his PT score, which is a nerd thing to do, but anyways, he sent it to me, so I'm not embarrassed to share. But, so as a 40-plus age man, he ran a 10:39 on his mile and a half, okay? I think you're probably a smidge over 200 pounds now, so if I was, with that large frame to get around a track in the mid-40s with all kinds of, I don't know what kind of physical problems, knee problems and hip problems and brain problems, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, brain problems, right, that's for a different time. But so to still do that shows the character of the athlete. I mean, that's just DNA. You can't teach it, you breed it. And that's what it is. So I don't know what you guys did to Brad again, but to be a two-sport Division I athlete, playing a bowl game, the Copper Bowl, succeed, be essentially a star offensive lineman on the Air Force Academy football team and play baseball at the same time. I mean, that's a life well lived, is what that is. That's a life well lived for your father, for sure. So what else? So the other thing I think that not only is all of those things personal characteristics, but he makes you want to be a better officer. I'm going to need that, so I'm going to get it. So he makes you want to be a better officer. So when you look back at his record, okay, there's these things that we like to hang, these ribbons and things like that. I'm talking about a lot of stuff that's not necessarily the nuance of how you build a career in the Air Force. But Brad has had an exceptional career. When you look at his officership from the early days as a FAPE, and you look at the number of awards, the ways we recognize great officers, the awards that we've given, the types of career development opportunities he's had, coming here to the center, the intellectual hub of air mobility here at the EC. So seeing those things as Brad's career has developed is extraordinary. So he's been Aircraft Commander of the Year, he's been CGO of the Year. I mean, all these awards, I could list a gazillion of them, but it's a testament to the kind of officer that he is. And when you look at what I thought was fascinating, I hadn't connected the dots on this, so I was looking at his records, is everywhere, starting when he was a FAPE, okay, he rose up to be the squadron executive officer. As we know, we put execs at the right hand of the commanders because they're trustworthy and they do the right thing. We have squadron exec. We move them out to McGuire, okay, here in the KC-10. I tried to get a job. I couldn't get a job. Brad got a job as the wing exec here. Well, then he comes out to McCord. So he finishes here as the wing exec. He cross flows to McCord. I tried to get a job at the wing, never got a job at the wing. I was never trusted, never smart enough, maybe I didn't have the athletic chops. I don't know. But he ends up as the chief of the Commander's Action Group at McCord, okay? He goes out, comes to ASAM, goes back to the Pentagon, working in the bowels of the Pentagon. Guess what? He ends up as the exec for A5R at the Pentagon. Okay, wow. Why does Brad Hall, how can the same person keep bubbling to the surface? It's not because he's a self-promoter. If anyone here wants to tell me a moment where Brad has promoted himself, I would like to see it, because it's never happened. Okay, because this is a selfless officer. And then he goes out and goes beyond that and goes to the Transcom staff and ends up as the exec to the deputy commander of Transcom, who called him today and is concerned about his decision to retire. All right, so that's the kind of impact that he has had on those leaders. And the leaders, I'm sure as General Gordy can attest to, having the best officers in the front office, well, that's who you pick. Well, why would the same officer under 4 different leaders always bubble to the top? That's because he's a phenomenal officer and a phenomenal person. And so that leads me to my next topic. He also makes you want to be a better leader. Well, how do you become a better leader? I moved the officership aside, because anybody can lead. Okay, so the leadership piece of it, who doesn't want to serve with Brad Hall? I mean, I guarantee I could pull any airman off of that deployment that he went on to Saudi Arabia 8 months ago, and they will tell you, we're glad Brad was there. Okay, and I know this wing went through a challenge with Brad, and this wing was lucky that Brad Hall was here as the vice commander to lead through that, because it's tough, it's challenging. But the testament of the leadership capabilities, whenever the chips are down, and when you think about that timing of here where there's a difficult situation in the wing, Brad leads through it flawlessly. Then we go out and he deploys, leads through that flawlessly, back to back, blows the summer up, all kinds of family plans, but the leadership is there. And you make me want to be a better leader, okay, in the way that you lead your airmen have the utmost respect. And that's because of what the scripture I think I opened with, is because they know at the end of the day that Brad is always putting others' needs before his own, always, in every circumstance, in every moment. That's what Brad does. And that comes through as well with his family, okay? And Brad makes me want to be a better father. When I look at these 4 beautiful girls down here and what they've accomplished and the challenges that the family's been through, moving around and the difficulties of moving, as I know, moving late in your life. By the way, you chose the wrong school in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Bailey. I hate to break this to you. Okay, can you give me a pony up for the SMU no? So the chances, just for a quick anecdote of the backstory there, so our daughters were babies. We have pictures of them laying around together when they were little. And now Bailey's going to TCU and my daughter Grace is going to SMU. So they are rivals. If you ever thought when we were living on Mystic Way in New Jersey that our two daughters would end up in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, that's unbelievable to me. But anyways, very excited. One pony up. Just give me one. No? All right, I tried. But to raise 4 beautiful daughters, very accomplished athletes in their own right, in lacrosse and soccer and gymnastics, great scholars in their own right. I don't know if there's ever been a bee in the Hull House. Maybe there is, but I've certainly never heard about it. What's that? And so that's a testament, and you saw it in the pictures, to what kind of father Brad Hall is. And all that stuff that I talked about, no one really, that's all. Once you retire, everyone forgets about you, and that's what's really important. And I've heard many who've been around the Air Force a long time have heard the phrase, well, you want your family to still like you when you retire. All right, that's the ultimate goal. That's the bar to clear of success. Does your family still like you? And I don't know. I assume that's the case. Melanie, you can, and we'll talk about their relationship in a second. But anyways, but being a phenomenal father and an inspiration to me as a father and as a single father now, knowing that Brad Hall is out there and that the Halls are dealing with challenges, but yet Brad has still been there for every sporting event he could be at, every event, traveling, leading the family throughout all of these different challenges is extraordinary. And I know that hopefully you girls, I know that dads are not always your favorite because dads like to toe the line, and that's where I struggle with as a single parent with my dad hat and my mom hat. I'm really good at one. I think I am. The other one I pretty much suck at, so, but I'm trying. So the next piece, beyond being a great father, is being a great husband. Okay, and I've had a front row seat to this relationship, and I can't tell you, I love these two people dearly, and watching their relationship is an extraordinary inspiration because it's like watching an episode of Crossfire on CNN. It's like the two of them are constantly bantering about something, but what is most inspirational is not about those nitty-gritty, the nuanced disagreements. I know you girls never see them debate anything, is that at the end of it all, it's just shrugged off and you move on because there's a deep and unrelenting love between these two people that is the foundation of raising 4 children and being a phenomenal officer and is the foundation for everything else. So Melanie, you have been a wonderful friend to Sherry and me, and so seeing you guys' relationship is an inspiration. It really is. And seeing Brad as a husband, I know that you guys like to challenge each other, but that's what the beauty of the relationship is. There's like this, both of them have this underlying competition and they know they're in it together, but there's still this tug of war between the two of them, and that's a sign of a good marriage in my mind, that you can continue to tug at each other and still be in love at the end of the day. And so that is part of the other piece where Brad, I think, makes others better around him. The last couple I'll talk about are kind of around the same thing. One is about being a servant and having a servant's heart. So Brad, and I talked about in his leadership, his officership, his fatherhood, that Brad is an exceptional servant. That's the way he thinks. He cannot think any other way except, how do I serve others? How will this decision help the people around me? How will this help my friend? How will this help this airman? That's the decisions. How will this help the unit? Making really hard decisions about how to serve the unit best. And that servant's heart is something that is maybe lacking a little bit. I wish there were more people with a servant's heart. And I try to have one. I can't rise to the level of Brad for sure, but the heart of service, what Bentonville, Arkansas has no idea what a wonderful family they're about to get. And that the service, and not only service through time in the military, but service in the way that they engage the community and participate in school activities and be a part of everything around them. That servant's heart will continue because it doesn't stop when you take the uniform off. I'm sure you know this already, that as they move there and get integrated in the community, that community is very lucky to have a wonderful family that's going to serve and that's going to contribute to the society in a way that helps raise great families and make the society or the community healthier as a whole. That is valuable. And the last thing, and I know I've been rambling for a long time, so for those of you watching online, I apologize. You maybe fast forwarded to this part, but it is most impressive how Brad makes me want to be a better Christian. And the faith of Brad Hall is one that is an inspiration to me. And whenever I start to get soft in my commitment to my faith, well, then I think, well, Brad, I should do it better. And he doesn't have to be there to tell me, and he doesn't critique my Christianity or my faith. He shows me how it should be done. And he shows me the right way to do it. And he demonstrates it, and he models the behavior that he wants to live. And that the core of it all, and why I finished there, is that his faith. And his faith is a pillar that makes me want to be a better person. Again, whatever magic potion they had in Cleveland, Texas, I would love to have a little taste of it for as I try and raise 3 children. But the foundation of faith that enables everything else is what has made me grow as a man. It's made me grow as a Christian. It's made me grow as a leader. It's made me grow as a person. And that is direct. He doesn't know this, and I hate to say this stuff because he doesn't like people talking about him, but he asked me to be. He's like, come on, what do you think I was going to do? But what I will finish with is I am grateful that Brad Hall has been in my life. And I believe that God guides us together for a reason, and there's some reason that Brad and Melanie chose that house in the Bridal Club neighborhood in Burlington, New Jersey, right over here. It's a beautiful spot. If you're looking for property or place to retire, you should go over there. It's a wonderful place. But Brad has done it right. From the time he walked in the door at the Air Force Academy in the class of 1996, I didn't mention they didn't have a recognition, but I didn't want to bring that up. But I know, so he may have even done better if they'd actually had a recognition that year. Tough as bricks, yeah, right. So he may have even been better, but through his time at the academy and 24 years on active duty, that's 28 years of life from the time he was 18. So raising a family, having a wonderful marriage, serving others throughout it all is, I don't know what else we aspire to. What should we aspire to other than trying to be better? And when you have people in your life like Brad, they help you understand how to be better. And that's by doing all of the things, being grounded in the way that you think, in the way that you serve, and always, always depending on the foundations to make your decisions and not getting distracted. There's no distracting Brad. Brad doesn't drink. There's no like, hey, Brad, come on, have a beer. It's just not going to happen, and everybody knows that because there's no squishiness. But to be able to balance that level of commitment to your beliefs, well, maybe there is, I don't know. Being able to balance that level of commitment to your beliefs while also being someone that cares deeply for others, that is a phenomenal human being. And I feel privileged to be here. I feel privileged to honor Brad in this way and that he would ask me to do so. It is a very humbling experience. And so it is a great testament to our nation and to the United States Air Force that we generate leaders of character such as Brad Hall. And I think that everyone who served with him would agree with me. If anybody wants to disagree, you can email me and we'll talk about it online. Anyways, but thank you, Brad. I was going to finish with the Bible script again, but I don't know where it went. I think it's somewhere in my pocket here. Here it is over here. Here we go. So I'll go back to how I started. And as you heard some details and you saw the pictures of the life that Brad has led, you ask yourself, has he done what Philippians 2:3 asks us to do, which is do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself. And that is what Brad has done. He lives it. He is an inspiration to me. He is a wonderful family member, and I will cherish our friendship until the end of time. I can't wait to come to Bentonville, Arkansas, and see what adventures await Team Hall as they arrive in Bentonville, Arkansas next week. And I will be there to play a round of golf, I think, after I dump Grace at college. So anyways, but thank you all for your time today. It's a privilege to be here. Thanks for being a part of this. Please, I don't think we're having a reception afterwards, but we've got some more accoutrements to hand out here. But make sure you thank Brad, okay, for making each of you better as well. I certainly intend to do so, but thank him. And thank all the leaders in your life and the people that serve you and understand that they're putting your needs above theirs. And that's what Brad has done for 28 years, serving our Air Force and serving our nation. And it has been an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Maddox. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the publishing of the retirement order.
Published order.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C. Special Order Number Alpha Lima 000477. Colonel James B. Hall, effective 30 September 2020. You are relieved from active duty, 621st Contingency Response Wing, Joint Base, McGuire, Dix, Lakehurst. Retired, effective 1 October 2020, per Air Force Instruction 36-3203, in the grade of Colonel, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Colonel Maddox will now present the retirement certificate. The retirement certificate reads as follows. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Colonel James B. Hall, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of October of the year 2020. Signed, Colonel Douglas D. Jackson, Commander, 621st Contingency Response Wing, and General David L. Goldfein, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Colonel Hall, in addition to the retirement certificate, we are pleased to present you with a certificate of appreciation from the President of the United States. It reads, I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. I trust that in the coming years, you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you have served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. Mrs. Hall, Bailey, McKenna, Brooke, and Morgan, please join us on stage for the presentation of the retirement pin. Mrs. Hall, we ask that you place this pin on Colonel Hall's lapel to symbolize his transition from active duty to retired status. In the future, each time Colonel Hall wears his uniform or business attire, this pin will serve to remind all that he has served faithfully and has earned his retirement. The pin indicates he is still a member of the Air Force, but now serves in retired status. Colonel Hall, please wear this pin proudly on any occasion in which you may represent the Air Force. Mrs. Hall, before you return to your seat, we would like to also take a minute to recognize you for your contribution to your husband's career. Colonel Maddox will now present Mrs. Hall with the Air Force Certificate of Appreciation. The certificate reads as follows. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents the Certificate of Recognition to Mrs. Melanie M. Hall for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support, which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Given this first day of October 2020, signed, Colonel Douglas D. Jackson, Commander, 621st Contingency Response Wing, and General David L. Goldfein, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Also included on the back is a letter of appreciation from Major General John Gordy, Commander, United States Air Force, Expeditionary Center. At this time, Colonel Maddox will also present certificates of appreciation to Bailey, McKenna, Brooke, and Morgan, signed from the United States Expeditionary Center Commander, Major General Gordy. The certificates read as follows. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Bailey, McKenna, Brooke, and Morgan, on the occasion of the retirement of their father from active duty with the United States Air Force, have earned grateful appreciation for their own unselfish, faithful, and devoted service. Their unfailing support and understanding help make possible their father's lasting contribution to the nation. Given this first day of October 2020, signed Major General John Gordy, Commander, United States Air Force Expeditionary Center. But wait, there's more. Colonel Hall will now present a few gifts to his family.
So we decided to do it this way as opposed to coming down to the audience later. But I have gifts for each of them. A long time ago when I was actually deployed to Afghanistan, I had the fortunate that we had a lot of freedom down in the green zone, and we could actually go to jewelers, rug stores, all those different kind of things. I bought Melanie a rug that she hates, but we still have it. It's awkward sized. I couldn't tell that in the store. All the guys, but anyway. And the girls, I got stones. I got their birthstones at a dealer down there. So keeping them for the time of my retirement, I figured that I would have them made into necklaces with their birthstones. So these are actually symbolizing from my time deployed there that they'll always carry with them their birthstones from Afghanistan. So there you go, girls. What Melanie didn't know is that I also bought stones for her as well, and I had those made into a necklace for her. So thank you, hon.
Colonel Jackson and Chief Jenkins, if you would please join Colonel Hall up front, please. At this time, we would like to present Colonel Hall with a gift from all Devil Raiders in the 621st Contingency Response Wing.
So Chris did such a fantastic job talking about Brad's career. I just wanted to, on behalf of our entire wing, highlight just a few things that are emblematic of the fantastic leader and teammate he has been for our organization for nearly 2.5 years. As I was joining this team, Brad and I had not worked together and hadn't even known each other. And yet, to a person, everyone who heard where I was going said, "Oh, you're so lucky you're going to get to work with Brad Hall." And it became evident to me, even in our transition period, and as I arrived, how accurate that was and the great advice I had been given by so many folks, like Chris described, who had worked with Brad throughout his career. In this organization, Brad has done virtually everything possible, save for maybe sing the anthem as beautifully as Aaron Lopez did, but literally, he has led our teams deployed. He has served as our wing commander in a critical time, like Chris said. He has been a sounding board and a mentor and teammate to our group commanders and a critical member of our executive leadership team. And more than anything, he has been a role model for every Devil Raider. In our wing, which our members are affectionately referred to as Devil Raiders, it's a play somewhat on the Jersey Devil, but it's often also about our contingency response forces. And the lore of that is that they are known somewhat as pirates in their deployed locations. Small, nimble teams who do whatever it takes to succeed, who maybe aren't as heralded, don't have the greatest equipment, but man, are they effective. And that is precisely what Brad has been. He has just been a fantastic partner for all of us, and Chief will talk a little bit more about that. But on behalf of our 1,500 members here at Travis and in 20 operating locations around the globe, I am so proud to give him our senior leader model of the Devil Raider sword to Brad Hall. Devil Raiders, give up hell.
I have another gift to give him real fast. I'm sorry.
Cool, I was just going to introduce the chief.
All right, Chief Jenkins, that's who I am. I've been with Colonel Hall for quite some time, sir. over this way, so I get on the right side. All right, so I do have a gift here, but I do want to allude to what Colonel Maddox was speaking about. He said a lot of great things about Colonel Hall and his leadership, and they were all true. And everything you said about retirement, sir, was absolutely true as well. However, the one thing that I ask is when you're in the commissary, looking at all your beans or whatever you're going to go buy, to stay out of the middle of the dang aisle so I can get in there. And I hope that you would use your leadership, because I will tell you, Colonel Hall's leadership has been invaluable to everyone within the CRW. And we follow suit. Seeing his leadership, he leads by example, and we follow it daily, all of us on the wing staff. I hope he can get all those retirees to slide their buggy off on the side of the road as well. I will tell you, sir, this is a little bit hard for me as well, so I'm not too of an emotional type person. If you know about some of the recommendations I made within the wing. So, you'll see that? My wife does say that, you know, I have my emotions removed at a very early age in my life. But you have taught me a lot of things. Like Colonel Mack said, you make people better. You have made me more better. If that's not even correct English, that really drives Colonel Jackson crazy. By saying more better. But you have made me better by learning how to empathize with airmen, because you have done that daily. And I've witnessed you ever since I've been here do that. You take your passion for leadership and you make our entire wing better. But I do want to present you a gift real fast. And a lot of you probably can't see this picture, but it's actually a picture of Colonel Hall swinging a sledgehammer when he was leading over 100 Devil Raiders in PSAB over in the summer. I can tell you when that tasking came down, there was no question who was going to go out and lead our team to go out and open up an air base in the desert. That was Colonel Hall standing up saying, I got that team, I'm going out there and I'm going to lead those Devil Raiders to do that. And that was exactly Colonel Hall. I will tell you, this picture symbolizes everything Colonel Hall is. Because you can see a little smirk on his face because he's so happy that he's actually out there with the team doing that stuff. That's right. Doing something. If I had an award to give to the most passionate sledgehammerer in the world, I would give that to Colonel Hall, because that's exactly what he's doing. He's out there leading those airmen firsthand, getting his hands dirty, and getting out there with them. He did that for the entire year and a month or so that I've actually worked and served with you in this wing. I'll tell you, I'm a little bit lost at words because you're leaving. Now I am the oldest person. You were the actual foundation in that wing staff and in that front office. Since we were waiting for Colonel Jackson to arrive, and you were leading that wing, and you were taking me under your wing, and you were teaching me everything you could about the CRW. Because you have such a big heart, and you do have that passion to make sure that everybody is better. And you did that for me. You did that for everyone that works in front of that wing staff or for that wing staff. And you did it with such heart, and you poured all of your efforts into it. You worked the hardest. You were still trying to retire, and your task list was bigger than Colonel Jackson and mine combined. That's just in the slow. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. But you were there to better us and to keep us going. And one final thing I do want to say is we got an American flag around here. If I could give another award out for most outstanding American that I know, I would give that to you. Because that's exactly who you are. I hear you talking about other airmen in this wing, about being fine Americans, about serving this country, but that is exactly who you are, and that's exactly what I see in you, and exactly what all of us see in you. It is just an outstanding American. Wherever you go, you're going to make that community better. You made the CRW better, you made all of us better, and you're going to go make Arkansas better, and absolutely you're making your family better. And I just can't thank you enough for that. So on behalf of all the CRW Devil Raiders in this wing, just want to present you a small token of our gratitude and appreciation for everything that you've done.
Thank you very much, Colonel Jackson and Chief Jenkins. Colonel Hall, I'm going to go off script just a little bit. In true Sergeant Verica fashion, you've been called many things today. American, patriot, husband, and father. But it is my privilege today to call you Colonel Hall, retired.
I'm not supposed to be emotional yet, so stop this, because that's what you're doing is you're bringing it out. So I was hoping that the video would get it all out of me, but obvious it didn't. And Chris's words there are just they're some of the things that I've tried to inspire to my entire life, because like you said, I had a good foundation. So they were way too kind. But Melanie and I were talking, okay, who are we going to ask out? There was no doubt in our mind. Just because, like you said, your family, you've been a mentor to me, whether it's career-wise, whether the same thing. I could just say back at you right now, because we don't have a lot of time. But I'm looking forward to our adventure, and one of the reasons that I'm so excited about going into business is because you're going to be a part of it. And so we're going to have to get together, we're going to have to talk more, and we're going to have to do things. And so that excites me even more about what I'm going to do in the future. But thank you for being a part of this day. Thank you for 10% truth and then that other 90% lie so that you can make me sound good, as a standard in Fapedom. But thank you. So I normally do most of my stuff extemporaneous and try to go, but because of the emotions and forgetting folks, I'm going to pretty much stick to my script, also for time, to make sure that we don't go too long. Everybody's too kind, Colonel Jackson. Those words were way too kind and more than I deserved, and the wing is headed in a right direction and under your leadership. And Chief Jenkins, I couldn't say the same. I mean, I can say the same. Is that again the nerves, the nerves. In that vein, I would say, I'm good to see you going to the 87th. No, that's absolutely spot on, and I got some more words for you in a minute, so I'll leave it at that. But Major General Gordy, Bernie, thank you for being here, taking time out of your schedule, and not only that, but being great neighbors, being a great leader, and supporting me during that tumultuous time, trusting that I would take care of the wing and make it better than I found it, and that's been my only goal in the CRW, and I think we've done that. I think it is definitely better than it was when we found it, when you took over the EC, when I started in the CRW, and with Colonel Jackson and Chief Jenkins' leadership, it's even headed in the right direction, and even down to the group leadership, and the squadron leadership are all fantastic. Colonel Cyrus, Chief Dirksen, Will Wade out on the West Coast, Chief Bennett out there, Colonel Cook, then Morrison, and Mr. D'Amico. We've just got a fantastic leadership team in the CRW that's got us on the right path. And Coach, going into XP, that is absolutely, you want your history chief and us moving him to XP, that's the right move. So Chief Berg, Amy, thanks for y'all taking your time out and really, talking about the Air Force being a family and sharing your daughter with Morgan. I know that Morgan is definitely going to miss Bella as we move on, and we've enjoyed having her over to our house and Morgan getting to go over there. Air Force is definitely a family affair, and thank you for your leadership, not only in the office, but having a great family that I want my kids to be friends with your kids, right? That's the highest compliment that I could ever pay you. There we go. Give me a second. For those on, I know that there's going to be some that watch this, some that are going to now see the hour and 20 minutes as they open it up and go, whoa, Avatar, right? Avatar, they spent $500 million making, and still everybody goes, wow, that was a little bit long. So this had half the budget, but we'll try to hurry up and close up, and we won't have an Avatar. But for the GOs that are out there that may potentially watch this, that have influenced my careers, General Lyons, General Walters, General Broadmeadow, General Martinez, General Smokey Robinson, General Charlie Lyon, General Schatz, General Tuck, General Scott, General Jackson, General Sears, and General Eisler. All part of my journey. I all worked, was a direct report for them at one time or another, whether it was they were a squadron commander, a chief of staff, or a deputy commander, or one of the GOs on a staff somewhere. And Fantastic group of leaders. I look at the Air Force and I go, what are some of the things that the Air Force gets right? The Air Force gets right its GO leadership. And those general officers, they all gave me a lot of room to run, a lot of room to make mistakes. And when I did, they said, hey, they didn't let me get away with making a mistake. You know, they held me accountable for it, and they put me back on the path and let me go again and run and make mistakes. And that's one of the best things that you can do for any of your subordinates, and something that I always really, really appreciated. So thank you, the generals that may be on the line. So Chris, again, somebody always told me never ask a better speaker than yourself to do your retirement. That's probably why you don't get asked every week again. So fantastic. And yes, that is who I aspire to be. And always short. It's always a relentless pursuit of excellence. And always trying to get better at those things you said. And I know you are as well. And I really appreciate you allowing us to get so deep in your journey. For allowing Melanie to come up, for allowing our kids to grow up together when they could, and when we were stationed together and they were small, and going on vacation. You know, one of my favorite memories of the Maddox family is you give Chris and I a challenge. And you send us to Disney World and you have the fast pass system. You will see two men dedicated on going across the park to get fast passes to prevent waiting in line all day long. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. I think we waited in that it was a well-oiled machine, but absolutely fantastic. There was no doubt in our mind that you were the right person for this. So thank you. Maggie, thanks for your narrating. Always one to roll with the punches. I've seen you do it many times, so thank you for how much care you put into it and just what a professional job that you do. Jake, Brett, two main POCs, huge. I really didn't do much except for change dates on you and make your life more complicated, right? That's one of the things that COVID did, so we changed the dates multiple times on this. We decided live ceremony, recorded ceremony, live stream, not stream, but y'all handled it with ease and put this together, and thank you very much. Airman Jennifer Lopez, she's been mentioned a couple times. It's not often you get to have J-Lo sing at your retirement, but we did, and I will take her any day over the real J-Lo because she absolutely nails the national anthem every single time. My wife and I heard her about a year and a half ago, and we said that's who, if we retire here, who we want to do our ceremony because she's just that fantastic. And she is a tremendous airman to boot. So you get a great singer and a great airman. It's a match made in heaven and fantastic. So thanks to J-Lo. Mike, those words were too kind, and you started the waterworks early, so to get through, but I really appreciate your friendship, and especially your wife and Melanie. PWOC has meant a tremendous amount to her here, and again, that Air Force family, that Air Force network, and the Protestant Women of the Chaplain is a great program, and your wife is a huge part of that, and you equipping that organization, as well as lending your wife the countless hours that she spends on it to give Melanie a chance to minister and talk and get to know and be ministered to when you go on deployment, 90-day deployments with 5 days notice is huge. And it's that fabric is the only reason that I could go with confidence and be out there with the airmen hitting the sledgehammer because I knew that people like you and your wife were here, and you weren't here. You were deployed with me. But that great organization and your wife taking care of things so that my family was taken care of, it just gives the confidence. Okay, so flip the page. Give some quick ROEs. I have a lot of pages here, but each page is a different section, and I may end up just skipping a section because we're gonna end this up here on the hour because I can get most of the things that I need to say, but we'll end it up fairly soon. I try to make a commitment to try to stay on time. We've obviously blown my schedule a little bit because I didn't think that people would say so many great things. Even though, again, it's hard for me to hear, right? I appreciate it, again, because I consider those aspirational, not necessarily where I'm at, and want to always get better at those. So I'm going to try to finish it. That's ROE number 1. Number 2, already proven, I will get emotional. And just so you know, if you make fun of me for getting emotional, I will do what I did anytime somebody made fun of me at PSAB, which is a fun game called Bean Boozled. If you know what Bean Boozled is, if you made fun of my age, or you said something like you need a wide-angle lens, which was said to me earlier. I'm almost doing Bryce, I'm like, she said earlier, I got to get the wide-angle lens. I say, what are you saying? I'm fat? So that would be a Bean Boozled offense at PSAB. And so if you make fun of me for crying, we'll Bean Boozle you, and I may Bean Boozle myself even. But anyway, that was good. Hughes was the worst violator of that. So Shane, if you're watching, good memories, and I got the Bean Boozled here. Third, the first section that we're going to have is kind of give you the order. We're going to do bequeathments, and that'll be the first thing. And anybody knows what a bequeathment is, or to bequeath something? It's to give stuff that you have, pass it on to somebody else to hopefully make them better. And I've done this when I was a FAPE. I had an old crusty fighter pilot that kind of taught me this tradition that when you leave, you need to take something from your office and give something to make it better, or for them to continue on, or whatever. So sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're serious, but I've got a little bit of both, okay? So first, Colonel Jackson, if you could come up real quick. So the one thing that you've always done is that you've always been there for me ever since you got here. And so I always want to be there for you. So I thought, what better way to always be there for you but to give you a picture that was on my desk of me and my family to watch over you. So there you go. So we'll be watching over you. Yeah. We'll be watching over you, and anytime you have any question, that's to say that I will be there for you. I will charge heaven and earth to come and help. Hopefully I'll have a reserve job either here at the EC or at AMC, but anytime you need anything, give me a call, and we're there for you. All right. Chief Jenkins, come on up. All right, Chief. I got a quick thing for you. So, Chief, like I've said, battle buddy, he came, Chief Abel was here. Chief Abel was kind of trying to finish up retirement. We were in the midst of kind of a gap in the wing, and I needed some help. And who shows up? Chief Jenkins, absolutely fantastic airman. Cares about airmen, cares about the discipline. That's one of the things why you come off, and some people that you think you're hard is because you care about airmen so much that you're willing to make sure uniform discipline. And that's something that I talked to Shane quite a bit out at PSAB is you got to know your proclivities. Mine is empathy. Yours is potentially discipline, like we talked about many times. But you know your proclivity, and then you work against it, or you think about it, and you think about where you are. And just watching about, if you didn't know your intent, you'd think, oh man, he's hard. But I know that you've got a heart of gold, and it is so much that you care about airmen. So the thing is this book. This is a book that I got, and we had talked about a couple times. Chief likes reading, likes The Art of War. I'm a big fan of simple diagrams. So this takes The Art of War, and it makes it very simple, puts it in pictures and graphs, right? So he doesn't need that. I need that. But what he needs is he's leaving to go to the 87th, and it's very... It's different over there. They have different problems on the joint base, right? So they have a lot of joint customers that they have to deal with. And so I needed to leave this with you, and I'm earmarked the one that you need. It says, if you're anxious to fight, you should not go to meet the invader near a river which he has to cross. Moor your craft higher than the enemy and facing the sun. Do not move upstream to meet the enemy. So much for river warfare. Okay, and what that translates to, everybody we have hard, is you've got a graph here, and you see it says life left in you and up, the time spent swimming upstream, down, and you need to just remember where you are on the swimming upstream and how much time you have left in you, okay? So you remember that, take it to 87th. And then I've got one more thing for you. This actually isn't for you. This is for Chief Riley, okay? So she's coming in to replace you, and when she gets here, I just need her to tell her that she's got to fill these, okay? And they are absolutely huge shoes to fill. Yes, they are huge shoes to fill, and I kid you not, she has to fill these. My daughter went and got them as she thought they were funny, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what is happening to Chief Riley. So you are fantastic, and I know Chief Riley will come in and do great, but you set the standard as a chief. So thank you very much. No, thank you. If you can't tell, I love my current leadership in the wing. So, I mean, that's clear. And then I had one more for Kyle, who is my replacement. Kyle couldn't make it right now because he's getting his household goods. We've been trying to do turnover. But this is really important, okay? This is, I don't know if anybody knows, this is called thinking putty. And it can also be stress putty. And as he deals with the staff and kind of being in between the groups and the staff and figuring things out, there's many times that I would sit in my office and I would just think with my putty and release some stress. So this will give to Kyle. I'll give him an extra demonstration tomorrow when he gets off and we finish our turnover. But there's his thinking putty. All right. I am done with bequeathment. So I usually, that's my favorite part of this whole thing. So now then the next part is kind of the last lecture piece of it, and this is where I'll cut most of the things out, because the last lecture piece of it is, it's not the most important piece. The most important piece is the thank you piece, which we'll get to in a minute. But the last lecture piece is that the Air Force is what you make of it. So it's a great adventure. It will. It is an absolute fantastic adventure. And some people come in, and for whatever reason they join, they have different expectations. I was very fortunate that I grew up with great parents that taught me service, that taught me leadership, that got me involved in sports early, that surrounded me with great coaches and great leaders, that taught me that it is an adventure to serve others, and that wherever I go, I can have a good attitude or I can have a bad attitude. That's kind of the choice. And so no matter the ups or the downs that the Air Force has given us, I've always considered it God's great adventure that He put us on. And that made it absolutely fantastic. It takes your frown and turns it upside down, and allows you to smile in some of the worst circumstances when you back up and think, you know what, God does have a purpose for this, and that He puts it on there. So my first leadership lesson that I take away from the Air Force, or the last lecture lesson, is that it's what you make of it. And I was very fortunate to have a family that enabled me to make it an adventure. The second is that great leaders are great coaches. So I grew up, always had great coaches, and what you find out is that everything that makes a great coach also makes a great leader. They care about people. They get people in the right seats. They want the people that are with them to be better. They invest in them. They're students of their game. They learn from their game. They are always studying. They're the ones watching film so that others may succeed, right? And so those characteristics are the things that I grew up with. Pat Ford and Roy Holland, and, Coach Cunningham, Randy Higdon, all great coaches. Fisher DeBerry, Chuck Noblet. I mean, I can name those coaches that put hard work, that invested in me, that taught me how to be a leader. a leader that cares about others and that coaches. And then you put me in the FAPE role where all you do for 3 years is teach and instruct and learn to instruct. That is the only thing and the only reason that I'm standing as a colonel today in the Air Force is because of those things that I learned at a very early age that kind of set up. So great leaders are great coaches. The third lesson is that the airmen, the Air Force, and this union will never be perfect, but the great thing is that we're always working towards it. And so, you know, I've used this sometimes. One of my favorite things I do is I mentor captains, and the captains come and they sit and we talk and we have these one-on-one sessions, and they've probably heard this a million times, but you know, I say when I sit back and reflect as a 24-year career, what do I take away? And it's that comfort that there are those captains, because whatever the Air Force does or does, it gets it right, and that they are better right now today than I was when I was their age. So when I was a captain, I was not as talented, I was not as good looking, I was not as smart, I was not as funny, I was not anything. So there is some secret sauce that no matter what the Air Force does, it is making people better, especially at those lower ranks. And I could not compete with the captains today. They're just absolutely incredible. They're incredible at everything they do. They make me better because I'm trying to keep up with them. And so whatever it is in the Air Force, for all its flaws, for all how much we like to sit and complain about the things that the Air Force is doing wrong, it is making people better at what they do and making us a better Air Force. And for that, I will sleep well in my DD-214, as they like to say for the retirees, because I know that the Air Force will be in absolutely fantastic hands as I leave it. Well, and I hope not to leave it. I hope to go to the reserves, but we're still working that out. But as I depart active duty. All right. Now is kind of the part where I fall apart, even worse than I have. But that's where I get to, like Chief said, Colonel Jackson is a big fan of the English language. I'm not. I still am struggling to master the English language, definitely. But the one thing that I've noticed is that certain letters of the alphabet have a same meaning or a same translation. And, you know, glad, good, and today is a day of T, okay? Team, trust, thank you, together, all different T words that are symbolic of what we need to talk about today. So this is my T word section, is what I like to think of it as, again, because they all have the kind of commonality. So first of all is that thank you, and another T word, transformation, and I'm going to read this. We're all on a grand adventure with highs and lows, whether you're Amerigo Vespucci, Harry Potter, or Luke Skywalker. As we see their ups and downs, I'm 100% convinced, 120%, 1,000% convinced that this adventure is planned and directed, even though it appears to us to sometimes be accident. The adventure started with my parents, who taught me right from wrong, to love Jesus and serve others. The transforming grace of Jesus has been my guiding light, the path through the ups and downs, the great adventure. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for setting me right in this grand adventure. So thank you. I want to give a round of applause for them. And plus. And thank you, Jesus. Next, trust, battle buddies. So I've been very privileged to have a lot of battle buddies along the way that I trust my life to them. Every one of the ones out at PSAB, Chris, trust life with. The many times that I sat in the back of that KC-10 or that C-17 on a ride, and it's two first lieutenants or a young captain, a first lieutenant up there front. You really learn what trust is all about. And as you're going into Iraq and they're up front and you're in the back. So, again, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of trust mates. Started at the academy. So some of those, Bo Morgan, Brett Sillison, Brandon Wilkerson, the whole line, the offensive lineman unions forever. That's, we don't do a lick till the clock starts to tick. So they'll understand that. Baseball, Kevin Gross, Mike Sharp, Ian Lowry, Coach Kaz, my roommate Shannon Moham, and all the Squadron 28 Blackbirds. My sponsor family, Joy Getty, they basically introduced me to Melanie, so I'm forever grateful to Joy. It's kind of funny, my entire Air Force or Academy career, she would just randomly have me over for dinner, and there would be different girls there, and hey Brad, Susie's here. Hey Brad, I don't know how that happened. Melanie is the only one that I ever asked out because I saw her as she came down I could picture the little walkway in the back, and I knew it. Don't close your ears, girls. I told her 6 days after I met her that we were going to get married and have 4 daughters. So I absolutely knew. I'd always prayed that God would write her name on my heart, and thankful that that Joy was a willing person on that adventure and had her over for dinner because it was absolutely what was supposed to happen. So then went off to UPT, strange crew, big trust partners there, Kurt Kremser, Disco Dirt Dirty, Justin Sanders, who then later passed in a accident with the Navy. Mike Conley doing great things for the Air Force, Jason Allen, John Sapp, Garrett Gulish. My FAPE time. So went on at Columbus, as I mentioned, and I absolutely love my FAPE time. Again, foundational into my Air Force career. Colonel Sue Ross. So I left the Columbus, and I said, someday I want to be an AETC squadron commander like Sue Ross. She was fantastic. Absolutely amazing, set the standard, cared about airmen, got the mission done, and their family just absolutely set the standard that we hope to live into. TJ Foster, Socrates, the Pritchett's, the Wolves, all family friends. And we went off to McGuire. We'll get some good laughs here. Colonel Iannuzzi was absolutely, he was a hoot and still is, but great squadron commander. Then General Jimmy C. Jackson, who took me as exec. The Maddox family, the Petersons, who Carrie got taken too soon in a car accident, the Castilles, the great neighbors, the Kings in our small group at FAC. So I don't know if you're seeing a theme, but we had a great church support network everywhere we went, and we believed in small groups, and the Kings were the leaders of our first small group here, and they set the precedent. And I'm already going too long. All right. C-17s at McCord, General Jerry Martinez, he was colonel then, General Smokey Robinson, our squadron commander, again when we were in the 10th, the Maddox family, the Simmons, the Palins, and the hundreds of Pathfinders that I see doing great things every day now. Then ASAM, came to ASAM. I can't do this without giving a huge shout out to ASAM 08, which is the best class ever to go through ASAM. Just so you know, sir, I think we're going to have a memorial put over there after this, if it's good with you. But ASAM 08, the greatest class, still a lot of our folks out there doing great things. And then Will Clark was part of that ASAM class, as well as went down to the Pentagon with me. That's where I met Josh Olson, close personal friend, Matt Lear, Jared Payne. Those folks absolutely carried me. Then the Alley Cat team, where I did the squadron command, Fate Mafia. If you don't know or you're not a part of the Mafia, it is just a incredible culture. Fapes, they absolutely get things done. In the Wayback Time Machine, they were called plowbacks because they came back and then they got everything done. They run UPT wings, and so if you take away the FAPE, you take away pilot training for all matters. But that FAPE Mafia that I had when I was a T1 squadron commander was incredible. Brett Pennington, who was my OG, General Sears, General Eisler, the Odoms, close family friends. He was my DO. Miss Regina, incredible national treasure for the 48th Flying Training Squadron. Then we had our peer squadron commanders. They are all in a small group with us, and it is a time that we will always cherish with that group of people. The Carltons, the Gentiles, the Moores, the Ingbers, and the rest of the Bible study. Our pastor, the Delgados, who we stay in touch with all the time, incredible assignment. Transcom, I got to give a shout out to General Schatz, General Tuck, General Lyons, General Broadmeadow, and what we called the ELOB, the extra layer of bureaucracy, which was my peer group at the Transcom. We were all the deputies. So Will Clark again, Steve Matthews, the whole J35 team, Scott Gunlock, and Andy Regan, a Marine who taught me what a knife hand is. So and how the military should run. And then Barb and Gabe Pryor and Rod, all from my time up in the exec, and then the Vandalins and the Cornerstone staff at our whole church at Cornerstone, incredible. And then the Devil Raiders. I've talked a lot about Colonel Jackson, Chief Jenkins, Greg, Will, Cookie. I couldn't have asked for a better team to be a part of. Y'all make the CRW better, and it's incredible. General Gordy, Chief Berg, Felicia, the commander support staff that I've had my whole time. So Lonnie, Donnie, Ian, Bobby, Brett, Chris, Jake, Maggie, Julie, Deb, all fantastic job. They're the heartbeat. We get to stand up here on this stage so often, and they're the ones that just are pumping the blood, right? I mean, the commanders were on ventilators, and they're down there really doing chest compression, but you only get the head up and it is a fantastic job by that front office staff, day in and day out. And even though you tell them to go home, they still stay there, and you're like, no, listen, I've got to wait and take this call, or I'm doing something private, but they still stay there to make sure that the job gets done. So absolutely phenomenon. And Chris as well, you left us recently, so I didn't get you written down, but okay. Now then, the trust folks that have been with me along the whole way, Mom, Dad, I'm run out of emotions now, but incredible, fantastic parents. I couldn't ask for better parents. So thank you so much. Barb, you get your family, but I chose you and Melanie, so thank you so much for being there for us all along, anytime we needed. It's kind of funny in the Air Force, you go, why is it an Air Force, or why is it a family thing? Well, you drop the dog off with Mom and Dad, and then you take the kids to Nana's house, and then you go find a house to move into, and I mean, it is absolutely a family affair. So I could sit here and I could ramble forever, but y'all are fantastic. You definitely have served your country well. Your communities are better for it, and the America will be better because of your grandkids. All right, now to the easy part. This is where it all gets real easy. Bailey, McKenna, Brooke, Morgan. I could talk about each of you for a week. You're more than I deserve. You're better daughters than I deserve. You're absolutely fantastic. You're kind, sweet. You're smart. You're funny. You're pretty. You do take after your mom and dad, which is we are not scared to share our opinions in our family. But at the end of the day, we love and support each other, right? And so that's kind of one of the things that Chris alluded to it. But I'm a totally believer in order to get better, it takes a little bit of friction. Friction generates heat. Heat, you can't have fusion without a little bit of heat, right? And so if you're comfortable with that, and you're comfortable with that relentless pursuit of excellence, realizing that something is not exactly as you want it to be, and running that race, you will get better. And all my daughters are willing to do that and comfortable with it, and they compete every day to get better. And I am so proud of that. You don't know how thrilled I am to be your dad. All right, like I said, that was the easy part. Melanie, thank you does not even come close for this adventure. You know, it's one of those things that we talked and we said, oh yeah, we'll do the UPT commitment, and I met her right after I've graduated from the academy, just a month, 2 months after the academy. And you know, we talked about the future, and yeah, sure, it held a little while. She went to grad school, and then we were going to set her a career, and she was going to do some things, and then we opened a business that we were going to do the business in Washington, and that's where we were going to get out. And then I went and did debt command in Kyrgyzstan. And I thought that I wanted to be a squadron commander. You know, I said about Sue and the T1 or the AETC squadron. Once they allowed me to be debt commander in Kyrgyzstan, I came back and I said, this is what I am here for. This is what I'm meant to do. They gave me the chance to lead C-17s out and a team of 100 folks to do a job. So we shed the business, we shed our plans to separate, and we changed course. And you were right there. You said, okay. And every time you have been there to support, you've taken care of airmen. You know, that meant you sacrificing the reciprocity. That meant you sacrificing your license. You know, you got a realtor's license. You've done all these amazing things to make airmen better and take care of their families. There are families, especially when we were squadron commander, that serve because of you, because of the impact that you made in their life. I just got a great email the other day from somebody saying just how impactful you were to them. So thank you. You have been a tremendous partner in this ride and could not have done it without you. All right. So I've forgotten her one time before in a previous promotion. So I hope that makes up for it a little bit, but if not. All right, finally, the last thing before the Air Force song. And I had no idea what Chris was going to talk about and how he was going to wrap it or what he was going to speak. But I think this ties up how I would like the retirement ceremony to be remembered and my active duty career to be remembered. And before we go to the Air Force song, which everybody loves, is that I've attempted to live out Romans 12. And if you haven't read Romans 12 lately, I highly encourage that you break it out and you just read it. It's a fairly simple, very straightforward verse. It's not really deep in theology, but I'll paraphrase it. And it says, we all have different gifts according to His grace given to us. Some serve, some to teach, some to encourage, some to give, some to leave, some to give mercy. The ones that have gifts should do well with them. It goes to love each other, be joyful, and overcome evil with love. So my prayer, my whole journey is that in this active duty career has been to take the gifts that I was given and make the world a better place. That's all that I think if we all did that's at the core of who I am and what I've thought my entire life is that I have been blessed with a lot of gifts, a tremendous amount, of you name it, great parents starting with, and I just tried to use those gifts that God gave me to make where we were, whatever we did, a better place in line with Romans 12. And I would say that if we want our union where it is today, our Air Force where it is today, that we embrace that and we just try to make it a better place, and those things around us, it'll all be a better place. And it's been an honor to serve on active duty, and I'm ready to continue our adventure and excited about it because, one, I have a great team and I'm not changing teams. We're just changing games. And so it'll be a fun adventure and a different game, and I'm excited about it. And man, have I used my nickel. With that, I think I'm done. Maggie, are you ready to go? Can you get up? Is your legs tired? All right. Computer probably went to sleep. Oh, there it did. It locked up. I talked too long and the computer locked. All right. Should we just try this on our own?
You're leaving it, sir.
All right. Let's do it. Go into the wild blue yonder, flying high in the sun. Here they come to beat our thunder. At the road, give it the gun, give it the gun. Down we got, spouting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live to fame, we're down to flames. Hey, nothing stopped the U.S. Air Force.
This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you all for coming. Colonel Hall's distinguished Air Force career was beautiful and well spoken about, and we're very thankful for everything that he's done for us. Please social distance as you walk past Colonel Hall and thank him for a well-deserved career, and have a wonderful day.